Pour yourself a cold one.
Let's strike them, huh?
And listen to Ross Tucker break down the top college prospects on another tasty edition of The College Draft.
Yeah, it is Daddy Soda time here on the College Draft Podcast presented by DraftKings. I am Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman, 5 teams in 7 years. Washington, the Cowboys, the Bills, the Browns, the Patriots. Now I just have a bunch of podcasts. Just posted the Power Rankings Tuesday podcast. I'll be doing the Even Money NFL betting podcast a little bit later in the day. Of course, we've got the Fantasy Feast podcast with the great Joe Dolan, Fantasy Pros #1 ranked fantasy analyst. And this podcast, the Threefer with Emory Hunt at FBall Game Plan on Twitter, Football Game Plan on YouTube. Emory is the man with the plan. And we do 3 podcasts in one: NFL Draft Podcast, College Football Podcast, College Football Betting Podcast. And I saw a guy tweet, Emory, over the weekend. You nailed your bets last week again.
Hey, man, we just win people money, and it's just funny to see how me and my homeboy who I played ball with over the weekend were talking like, man, if you were a millionaire and you just literally had, let's say, $1 million just to play with, right? You could legitimately make a living just off betting football games if you knew the game, if you knew personnel, if you understood what you were looking at. Like, you could legitimately just bankroll your entire career just off betting football games. I feel like it's a fun exercise. I wouldn't do it, but it feels like it would be a profitable venture.
Yeah, I mean, it's harder than it looks.
Right.
We've had some success on Even Money and here on the College Draft, but it is not easy. But you're right. I mean, there are people that do it, certainly like Steve Fezzik on the Even Money podcast. Look, what everybody needs to do is go to footballgameplan.com/2022 draft guide. Don't be a procrastinator. Just go to footballgameplan.com/2022 draft guide. Get it, and that way you have it for when it comes out, next winter, February, March, whatever, and you'll be good to go. Speaking of good to go, Emory, let's talk about one of the 2 games I've got this weekend. So Thursday night, you'll be able to watch your boy, Emory. It'll be FAU at Charlotte. My first time going down to Club Lit to see Charlotte. 2 teams that very much have a chance to win, Conference USA. Looking forward to seeing Charlotte and their quarterback, Chris Reynolds, against FAU. And then Saturday, undefeated, top 20 Wake Forest at Army. And there's not 1 but 2 offensive linemen for Wake Forest, Emory, that have caught your eye.
Yeah, Sean McGinn is the guard, and the center is Zach Tom. Both guys are really good. McGinn is someone that's quick off the ball. He's a left guard, so he's someone that you can get out and around on run plays. He's quick. He makes good contact power. I feel like he could, use to get stronger, stand to get stronger. But Tom is the strongest one of the 2. He's able to lock and turn and, create a lane for the running back right there in the A gap. He's drive blocking down the field, so he's a really good player, but his quickness isn't where you want it to be, so he has to get better there. But both guys in unison help spearhead that run game, and they're a Senior Bowl watch list guys, and they're really good prospects. So I like both. They played a lot of games, logged a lot of snaps. One is quicker, one is stronger, but together they work well in unison. And I just wonder if Wake Forest wins the ACC, do they get the playoffs?
Yes. If they win the ACC and they're undefeated, yes. I don't think that's going to happen. But if they won the ACC, I think I think Pitt has a chance.
Right.
Pitt's only lost to Western Michigan. Pitt's good. I don't know how they lost to Western Michigan. Western Michigan's good, but still impressive. Now, I'll tell you this much. Army has 2, maybe even 3 or 4 legit NFL prospects on defense. So the 2 guys, without any question, that will get into camps, their nose tackle, Nolan Cockrell, who I told the Senior Bowl about, Jim Nagy, he is a stud. I think he's a 3-4 D end at the next level, but he has rotational NFL D linemen all over him. He's strong. He's fast. I mean, he is impressive. Good technique. Then I think their D end, Andre Carter, who's only a junior, leads FBS in sacks. He had another one against Wisconsin the other night. This dude, Emory, is like 6'6" and a half, 250, was a high school wide receiver from like Missouri City, Texas, but he moves like a cat out there. He's got good hands, long arms, moves like a cat. I'm telling you, this guy's legit. And then they got a couple other guys. They got senior linebacker Eric Smith, 53, who's worth keeping an eye on because of the success they've had last couple of years with Cole Christensen and John Radigan. And then they've got a safety, Marquell Broughton, who's a junior, who's a very good player as well. Army's defense is extremely impressive. They got a bunch of talent there, including a couple of juniors. Wake Forest, Emory, is laying 3 points. So a lot of respect for the Black Knights coming off back-to-back losses, only 3-point underdogs. Who do you like in this game, Emory, and why?
I'm laying those points with Wake Forest. This will be you'll enjoy this game as well, Ross, with how fast this game will go. I feel like Wake Forest will try to run the football in this one and take their timely shots deep down the field. If you tell me Wake Forest can beat Army by 3 or 4 points, scoring a touchdown, I think that's an easy bet to make. So I like how Wake Forest is playing on defense, firstly, but also I think their offense has a little bit of balance to where they can definitely get that ball in the end zone and cover this spread. So it won't be a 30-24 type game. It may even be 17-7, but that gets you more money in your pocket. So I'm laying those points with Wake Forest.
Yeah, I would be very curious to see whether or not Christian Anderson can play for Army. That's he is a difference maker at the quarterback position. They've lost the last 2 games without him. I think there's a pretty decent chance they would have won both those games if Anderson was able to play. He was playing at a really high level. It's extremely unfortunate that he was hurt.
I will say this though. I do like Jamel Jones at quarterback for Army if he gets an opportunity. That guy definitely has his way with the football in his hands, and he's a terrific runner. Underrated passer, hadn't been able to showcase that. You don't really showcase that in that Army offense, but Jamel Jones is a tremendous talent coming from Texas.
You know, it's interesting because last game against Wisconsin, they played Tyre Tyler. They played Jabari Laws, got back in the game, but they did not play Jamel Jones. So he's kind of, I don't know if he's going to get in because he's kind of fourth, but he does a nice job. You're right when he gets in there. Let's talk Kansas State at Texas Tech. Texas Tech is laying 1 point. This is basically a pick 'em. And look at you, Emory, Mr. O-line guy. You want to talk about Noah Johnson for K-State.
And listen, it's early, but I like what I see from Noah Johnson, man. You talk about someone extremely quick off the ball, number one. Read and recognition skills are A+. Like you don't fool him with stunts. He's quickly able to diagnose and redirecting and also recover. So his ability, let's say mentally, is where it needs to be. And once he is locked on a defender, he's moving him out the way. A lot of Kansas State's runs inside are running right behind him. So he's able just to, get on someone, get him out the way. So he's got good contact power, good functional strength. He has good quickness, good recovery ability, good recognition. He's checking a lot of boxes, man. I was very impressed watching his tape. I'm excited to see him continue to progress. I'll be interested to see where he stacks up once I grade a lot of centers. But I like what I'm seeing from him so far. I just love the way he plays the game, and just initially from this viewing, he looks like he's going to be one of those guys that I'm gonna have graded really high.
What about Texas Tech's running back? I don't even know how to say his first name, Thompson.
Sir Roderick Thompson.
Sir Roderick, okay.
This guy here, man. I tweeted this back in the summer. He has the goods. Coming into the season, he was recovering from a shoulder injury. So that's why he didn't start the season. But man, you talk about someone that has terrific footwork, has a knack for the big play, has the vision you want inside, the tackle to tackle vision to really find those creases, then bounce outside and go. He can catch the football. He's a big play threat, man. And I'm a big fan of his game. You go back and watch him last year, how well he was able to break tackles and then just explode past defenders. This season, they've been slowly working him back in the mix, because he's, again, nursing that shoulder injury. They don't want to hurt him too much. But this dude, to me, is the sleeper running back in this class that no one's talking about.
Texas Tech laying 1 point, Emory. What do you got?
It's you never know with the Red Raiders, so I'm going with Kansas State because defense, special teams, I could trust that they're going to find a way to make a play in one aspect of that portion of the game. Even though their quarterback situation is kind of in flux and they haven't been the same, but I know Kansas State will play good defense. I know they'll play good special teams, and to me, that will be enough to get them to win this game.
Such a good point. There's always certain programs that you know what you get out of them on defense and special teams. To me, it's like you know what you're getting when you go to AutoZone because they have products to show your car you care during Fall Car Care Month, which is in October. Here's my thing, especially if you're in the Northeast like Emory and Jersey or me in Pennsylvania, make sure you're prepared before that first time it snows. Make sure your washer fluid's topped off. Make sure you've got replacement wipers to help you clear your windshield during rain, sleet, or snow. Make sure you've got the scraper in your car. You can get all those things at AutoZone. How about, by the way, get a new pair of fog lamps to cut through the fog, which is a very real thing. Always replace your headlights in pairs, by the way. Stay safe this Fall Car Care Month. Visit your nearest AutoZone or just go to AutoZone.com to start your job today. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Do I sound like the commercials when I do that, Emory?
A little bit.
I try to do like the same cadence as the commercials. At any rate, all right. Now we got UTSA at La Tech. UTSA laying 7 points. They've done a good job with that program. What about their corner, Tariq Woolen?
6'4", 205.
Wow.
Yeah, former wide receiver, so that's why, right? Came into UTSA as a wide receiver, moved to cornerback 2 years ago, and again, he plays the position like someone that had played receiver, so his ball skills, ball instincts are where it needs to be, and because he has the length and athleticism, he could challenge one-on-one. So when they have him playing off in zone, it's interesting to see how he's able to react and drive on the football. It's been fun to watch him develop at that position 2 years ago. You saw the raw talent. Now you're seeing the technical skill come with it, and teams are starting to avoid throwing to his side because he's so long and has really good ball skills. It's not going to be an easy completion. So they've been going to the other corner, but when they go his way, it's getting broken up. It's getting picked off. He had an interception against UNLV, but I like the progression, and he's a big reason why they are undefeated and ranked for the first time in program history.
What about D lineman Levi Bell?
Yeah, he got hurt in the SMU game. He's someone that he plays defensive tackle, right? They have him listed at 6'1", 276. So we know that essentially means 5'11" and 3/4 and probably about 265, right? Now he's a disruptive, player on the interior, but you could probably see a pathway for him being kind of that person that you could rush off the edge. Or if you want to have him as a shorter Puna Ford type, quick tackle on the inside, you can, because he's relentless. He has good quickness off the ball, and he's going to find a way to the quarterback. I watched the Southeastern Louisiana game, and they have a quarterback prospect in Cole Kelly who won the Walter Payton Award, the FCS Heisman last year, and was playing out of his mind this season too. He may win back to back. And he was giving him the blues all day long, just quick interior pressure. But I'm looking at him. Could he be a 5 technique? Can he be an edge rusher like a Brandon Graham that you played at wide 9? Or do you want to keep him inside if he's truly 6'1", 276? So there's some flexibility with him, but just he hadn't played since getting hurt against SMU in September.
All right. So with UTSA laying the 7, what are you thinking?
I like UTSA. La Tech should have lost that game to Southeastern Louisiana, number one. They've been playing on they've cardiac football for the longest, and UTSA's defense is really good. They got a great running back in Sincere McCormick, who we'll talk about next year when he's a senior. Their quarterback has been playing really well, Frank Harris. He's a senior. So I just think that this is a really good experienced team with a good defense. And when you say good defense, that's not what you want to hear when you're La Tech, because they can't handle any team that can play defense. I like the Road Runners. They have the best hashtag too. Their hashtag is Meep Meep, because again, they're the Road Runners. So
I love that. All right, huge game in the Mountain West. Nevada at Fresno State. Nevada, I saw them a couple weeks ago. I don't know if I've asked you about your breakdown of Nevada quarterback Carson Strong. I'm curious to hear what you think.
he's a good player, man. And I think right now, when you look amongst the draft Twitter community, everyone is wanting to push someone into the QB1 spot. So they're one upping each other on, is it Carson Strong? Is it Kenny Pickett? Is it Jake Hayner? And so you're just like, listen, man, let these guys just play ball. And Strong is good. I worry about his arm strength at the NFL level in terms of having to throw in tight windows and driving the football. I think that's where he's weakest. His ability to create off script is a little bit questionable because of the lack of, core athleticism or true, quickness and mobility. But in terms of just quick throwing the football and operating the offense, he's doing a good job. And that's the reason why Nevada has been consistent the last couple of years. Deep ball may be a question. If he gets it out early, he throws a beautiful rainbow ball. And that's why we were going to talk about their receiver, Romeo Dubs, as well. But when he's under pressure, it is not as consistent. And there's a lot of acrobatic catches by these wide receivers that are great catches, but not particularly great throws. So he's a guy that I think is more of a second or third round type talent, but definitely worthy of a roster spot, obviously, at the NFL level.
So watching him, he's very bright, knows where to go with the ball. They let him control the whole thing at the line of scrimmage. He's very smart. He's pretty darn accurate. I think he's got a pretty good arm. He's not very mobile. I guess he had knee surgery in the offseason, and he still has a brace on that knee. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Phillip Rivers because of just how quickly he gets rid of the ball a lot of times, how often he'll just go to the check down. Like, he's very patient. He's not afraid to just check it down to Toa Tawa or the backs out of the backfield. I think he's pretty good. He doesn't look to me like a first round, top 5, top 10 NFL quarterback. I think his arm's strong enough. I guess everybody wants someone with the second reaction plays, and that's not him, the off script stuff, as you said. He does have a pretty good receiver, though, in Romeo Dubs, who you referenced.
Yeah, he's a taller guy. And I love when you have these taller receivers that also return punts, because that tells you his route running, his quickness, and his short area burst. So he's able to win at the line of scrimmage. He's able to get open, and he does. I think his best trait is his ability to track the football deep down the field. And he's a guy that's a big play threat. Yes, there are some inconsistencies with catching the football. He'll drop some easy ones, but in the overall grand scheme of things, he's a really good receiver that has good hands. Are they the best hands? Maybe not, but they're good hands. So you can trust him. And he's someone that knows how to get himself in position to make a play on the ball, because he's stacking and tracking he's stacking the defensive back and tracking the ball. And I think that's an elite trait. That's why him and Carson Strong work so well together in unison. And he also has a great sense of timing. You go back to the game last year against San Diego State, when they needed a big play in that game, because the defense of the Aztecs was really putting a hunker down on Toa Tawa and also Dubs and Strong. And so they needed a big play in the passing game. Boom. there it is in the third quarter. He makes it, gets him into position to score a touchdown to help them win that game. So I just like his ability to have a sense of timing. He sacrifices for the football, not afraid to die for a pass. And I just think that because he returns punts, increases his value because he has that ability as a returner, both kickoffs and punts if you need him to. Plus, he's a really good route runner.
What about for Fresno, their quarterback, Jake Hayner, the UW transfer?
Yeah, he's a good quarterback, man. I think right now he's another one that arm strength is probably a question at the NFL level, but he can make those second reaction plays. He can scramble around a little bit, find some time. He plays a little bit to me like a Taylor Heineke. Someone that
Yeah.
does a really good job of just creating plays. And you can't put a price on that. You want someone that can help you out when things don't go right, someone to play above the X's and O's, and that's him. Now, overall, as a pure, let's say, quarterback prospect, he's a little bit limited, but for the most part, someone that you could win games with because of his ability to create. But you just know his ceiling is probably low. So I think what you see is what you're going to get with him right now. But he's done a great job with this Fresno State offense. But he's someone that you could see when he's going away on the far hash. There's some throws that just tend to die in air. In another case where you have acrobatic catches by these wide receivers. And I also just want to say this: I hate that we have made this part of the football lexicon, these back shoulder throws, when essentially they're underthrows. They're not good throws. They're great plays by the receiver, but we are giving quarterbacks credit for not putting the ball where it needs to be. Receivers are sacrificing their ACLs and patella tendons trying to catch these doggone passes that's thrown behind them. But he is someone that I think is more like Taylor Heineke than anything. But again, another case with draft Twitter is trying to push everybody into the first round. If you can complete 3 passes in a row, draft Twitter will say, hey, man, this is the first round. Don't be surprised if so-and-so takes him in the first round. Like, all right, man, you're going to have 35 quarterbacks go in the first round in the top 32 picks if you leave it up to draft Twitter.
So Fresno's laying 3, Emory. What are you doing here?
Whew, this is going to be a fantastic game, man. I like Nevada. I'm a big fan of Toa and how gritty he runs. I think defensively, while Nevada isn't what they were last year, they're active. And I just think the offense of, although Rivers for Fresno is a really good running back too, that's why I think this game is going to be close. I'm taking Nevada in the points here.
Got it. I would agree with that, although both these teams are very good. Mountain West has some good teams this year for sure. All right, last but not least, it's going to be USC and Notre Dame. But first, I want to make sure everyone knows that overcoming the odds, rewriting the playbook, delivering under pressure, the MVPs of small business lead their teams to victory all year long. Visa is proud to provide playmakers everywhere with more tools to help grow their business and help them achieve even greater success. Because the more people we can empower, the more we all win. Visa, it's a network working for everyone. USC, Notre Dame's laying 7 points. Man, USC, what a mess. Let's get to their offensive lineman, Jalen Mckenzie.
He plays on the right side, really good player in a run game. When he's going straight ahead, he can really get guys up out the paint, man. He's driving these guys, helping them switch positions, taking defensive linemen, turning them into safeties. You know what I'm saying? So he's pushing guys off the ball. And in pass pro, when guys are trying to run twists and stunts, he's able to pick those up. But the lateral quickness, in my opinion, is a little bit questionable. And that's where I have concern. And that's where he's going to have to get better. In the run game, when he's going to the second level, if guys are able to evade that block, if they can avoid his hands getting on them, him reacting to that initial quickness is where he's going to have to get better. I think he plays a little bit heavy footwork wise. So he has some room to grow, but you like him in pass pro, guys are not going to bull rush him. You're not getting to the quarterback in that way. And in the run game, you can run behind him because again, he is, country strong in terms of getting his hands on you and getting you up out of there quickly. And so you could run right side like most teams do. So he's a good overall prospect with some room to grow because he's still rough around the edges in some aspects of his game.
Notre Dame linebacker Beau Bauer from Erie Cathedral Prep. I saw him in high school 3 years in a row in the state championship games. Tell me about him at the college level.
Yeah, I like his ability. You see things that you can that translates to the next level. You see athleticism, number one, check. You see ability to play special teams, number 2, check. You also see his ability to play on both ends of defense. He can, stop the run. He can chase the run away. He can pressure the quarterback. He can drop back in coverage. There's a lot of things that you like about Beau Bauer, and I think that athleticism and versatility yields itself to him playing at the next level, because he doesn't have to be a 3-down guy. He could be a sub package guy. He could be a special teamer. He could be someone that you use situationally. I just think that he has a lot going for him. And when you're able to do a lot of things, especially at that position in today's NFL, you're going to find your way getting drafted in the mid rounds and find your way having a nice lengthy career because of it.
Emory, Notre Dame is laying 7 points. What are you recommending?
Take Notre Dame, man. I can't trust USC as far as I can throw them this year. When you look at USC, it's just inconsistent offense. Quarterback play is spotty. I think Notre Dame is going to turn the ball over about 2 times in this game because of that reason. And once you give Notre Dame extra possessions with the football, with their ability to run the football, curtains. So I'm laying those points with Notre Dame.
Love it. What happened to Slovis this year, man?
It's just inconsistent, man. He is someone that really, when people were talking about him last year, I never saw it with him. I never saw the arm strength or just the ability. He reminded me a lot of Josh Rosen, right? When you watch him, you're just like, man, if you just get rid of that football quicker, maybe that guy can make a play on it. Or how could you not feel that pressure coming off the corner when you just stood dead, still in the pocket? You have no pocket feel for pressure. So it just, to me, it's just he is just someone that just is probably QB2 or QB3 at the next level.
Check him out on social at FBallGamePlan. Remember, you can always email me too, ross@rosstucker.com, if you have specific questions about prospects for Emory. I'm at Ross Tucker NFL. We are at Ross Tucker Pod. He has the best draft guide out there. Certainly the most expansive, especially if you're into some of the smaller school guys. Footballgameplan.com/2022 draft guide. The keg is kicked. We're all tapped out.
Thanks for listening to the College Draft Podcast. Make sure to also subscribe to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, Fantasy Feast, Even Money, and The Business of Sports. All available at Apple Podcasts, rosstucker.com, or wherever podcasts can be found.
A lot of times on the show, I mentioned DraftKings. Here's what you need to know. You got to be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER, or in Indiana, 1-800-9-WITH-IT. By the way, if what I was talking about included a deposit bonus, doesn't always, sometimes it does. Deposit bonus requires 25 times playthrough, and deposit bonuses are paid out in site credit.